What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a budget, competitive and pure update to Fire Kings. Now this is pure Fire Kings, it does not involve a single Snake Eyes card, it doesn't involve Tri-Brigades or of course Dogmaticas. However, if you would like to see an update to those particular builds, more so the Tri-Brigade or Dogmatica version, then let me know in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to do that. I've also kept it on a very tidy budget to make sure that it's a great introductory deck for any of you coming back to the game that might want to be looking into a deck like this, because it does get some future support. We just do not know exactly when it is going to be. Hopefully it is confirmed for info, but I believe it was like a OCG promo, so we don't know exactly when it's going to come. That being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the profile, show you exactly what we've got, explain why we've got it, and go from there. So please make sure you smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, let's start off with our Fire King boss monsters, being two of the brand new Sacred Fire King Garunics and one of the original Fire King High Avatar Garunics. Now I thought because we were doing a pure version and just a card that a lot of people are expected, it was kind of worthwhile cutting out one of the Sacred King Garunics for the High Avatar. Yes, I know this does cause an issue that when it comes back during the standby phase, it will destroy all monsters, but the best thing about that is when it does that, it kind of puts your opponent under a little bit of pressure that they want to kind of negate it and leave it in the graveyard so that that doesn't happen. If it does happen and it does succeed in doing what it needs to do, then of course you'll be able to get more advantage because you'll be able to put more Fire Kings on the board. You'll guarantee there's a fire monster in rotation that's going to constantly give you that ability to nuke the board as and when you please, or well, technically during the standby phase, but it kind of gave it a very nice kind of option that your opponent needed to kind of deal with. Your other boss monster, of course, is triple Flame King High Avatar Kirin. Now, obviously, this is incredibly important in the deck. The fact that it is technically your ideal hand trap for the Fire King cards themselves. The recursion, the non-target destruction is just an absolute must at 3. Then, of course, your main starter of the deck being your triple Fire King Onyx. Now, obviously, the issue is when you're not playing Snake Eyes gave you additional consistency to get to this card. If you're playing Dogmaticas, again, it did the exact same thing, and so did the Tri-Brigade. So you do lose a lot of consistency in order to get to the Onyx, which is why you need to balance it out with all of your other cards. But that being said, once you do get to Onyx, that is everything you need to get it into rotation and get everything moving along. And that's why also we do play 3 Sanctuary in the deck, as long as 2 of the islands as well. The other Fire King monster we play is triple Avatar Advata, and of course the one Barong. Obviously this is your monster negator, and then the Barong is what will end up setting you up everything you need to, because being able to search out your Kirin or even your Garunics, heck, even a Onyx, should you need to, is very, very important. Then of course we've got triple Sanctuary, so obviously this is more important in this particular build because you're not always going to have guaranteed access for Onyx to get to it, so you do need to kind of utilize this where at all possible, and it does give you that ability to drop a Garunix Eternity on your opponent to nuke the board as well. Obviously that's going to be a secondary focus, but the idea is that your Sanctuary is going to get you your Fire King Island into rotation, and you want to make sure that you're going to have consistent access to this because you won't always be able to guarantee that Onyx will do so. If you do already have access to your Fire King Island or through your Sanctuary, your other options you can go for, of course, will be your Skyburn and of course your Circle. Then of course we do play the one for one, as it is technically your 4th copy of Onyx. Like I said, you need to use all of the cards you can really get away with without using the Snake Eyes build if you want to, in order to get to the Onyx, and 1 for 1 is the best way to do that. So for the hand traps, of course, we are playing triple Imperm and triple Ash Blossom alongside a host of other hand traps, which is what makes the pure version really work in comparison to stuff like the Dogmatica version or of course the Tri-Brigade version, as they do take up additional space. This one allows you to have the freedom to play stuff like additional 3 Nibiru's, 2 Drawn Lockbirds, which may go up to 3 during the next format, and then of course double Effect Veiler. To increase your consistency to get to Onyx in this particular build, we do need to utilize cards like Pot of Prosperity. You can place it 3 if you wanted to as well, but I decided to go with a small engine of playing 2 Dark Hole, 1 Torrential Tribute, and then of course the standard Call by the Grave. Now you can do this the other way around. You can go with less Dark Holes, more Torrential Tributes. The idea was, or what I kind of looked at it was, I was never always guaranteed to go first. If I do end up going second, I'm able to kind of like slow my opponent down with hand traps, but if that's not enough, no one is expecting a Dark Hole. That also being said, what it gave me the ability for was turn 0, rather than just setting a Torrential and hope they ran into it. It also gave me the ability to activate Dark Hole during my turn to destroy my fire monsters. If it had been stopped by a hand trap or whatnot, I was able to activate Dark Hole, still destroy it, get its destruction effect off, and then allow me to continue to make plays, whether that be triggering something like Kirin or whether that be triggering something like the Garunix. It just allowed me to get a bit more board presence. So that's it for the entire main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, again, it's pretty straightforward on exactly what you're going to be looking for. It's relatively cheap budget, rank 8 staples with a couple of other link monsters thrown in as well to help you kind of extend your board presence. So you are going with the 1 Garunix Eternity. You can play 2 if you want to, in place of some of the other rank 8s that I'm going to show you as well, but it just gives you a bit of a range to consider. Of course, we do play the 1 Hope Harbinger. We also play the 1 Dragulabon. So you've got your defensive option off the Dragulabon being the Hope Harbinger, and your aggressive option being the Numeron Dragon to help you push for an OTK. I still like playing Ding just for that non-target send ability and the protection from non-destruction. And then another card you might want to consider, yes, of course, it will slow you down a little bit because it will stop the Garunix coming out of the graveyard during your opponent's turn. But when you're making a card like this, you're going to be making it knowing that that restriction on yourself is going to be a lot less effective on you and more effective on your opponent. And that's why you're going to consider the number 68. So with Sky Prison, and remember, it is not a quick effect, it gives you the ability to detach a material from this card, and until the end of your opponent's next turn, this card cannot be destroyed by card effect, and neither player can special monsters from the graveyard. So obviously the idea is that when you're putting a lock of that like on your opponent and yourself, you want to make sure that it's going to affect them a heck of a lot more than it's going to do you, and that can be massively helpful with the main meta decks, looking at stuff like Yugioh possibly, as well as stuff like Snake Eyes and everything else in between. Then for your link monsters, of course, we are going to be playing around with Heater, the Fire Charmer, alongside Nightmare Phoenix. Pit Knight Earl. The reason I like the Pit Knight is because of a Torrential Tribute or even Dark Hole. It's just a card that constantly keeps floating back to the board. For the Link one, you might want to consider Almirage, because it's one of them ones where if you have to normal summon one of your hand traps that isn't Ash Blossom, you can turn it into a fire monster, and then of course you can use Fire King Island to destroy it and then trigger your Garunix and go off from there. Obviously, on a bit more of a budget, you've got your IP Masquerena, and the targets that it can go into will be a Nightmare Unicorn rather than an SP Little Knight, alongside an Underworld Goddess, just if you want to deal with any of your opponent's towers, and then of course Appaloosa and Access Code. So Access Code has the ability, if you end up using Appaloosa as well, we'll end up having a Dark, Fire, and of course a Wind in the grave, but at the very least it will have Dark and a Fire, and that's going to give you 2 forms of disruption as well as give it a nice 3k boost. So again, this is your flexible options if you wanted to go for something like a Relinquish Anima. If you wanted to change it up to anything else, play more rank 8s, you could play rank 4s if you wanted to. But the idea is just giving you a bit of a ranged balance, especially now that most of these cards are relatively cheap and easy to pick up, thanks for their reprints in Rarity Collections 1 and 2. So that's it for the entire profile. Any questions at all, by all means, like I said, put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them as always. Of course, let me know if you want to see an update to any of the other budget versions of the deck. Like I said, there's Tri-Brigade, there's Dogmaticas. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the new card relatively soon, if not in info, which will be out, or we should get some leaks of this by the time this video comes out within the next few days or so. So that'd be really kind of cool to see as well. And then we'll see if there's going to be another update to Fire Kings, because they get become even better as a pure deck when they get that new card as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.